What's up, guys? My name is Drew Williamson, and today I'll be starting a brand new podcast called Beyond the Arc. This will be a NBA podcast. No other sports, just basketball. I've always been a huge NBA fan ever since I was little, and I've been wanting to start this podcast for a very long time, going on probably like 2.5 years. I just haven't. I've been very busy. I've had school, I've had sports, all that stuff, and so finally I've had a lot of free time. I got all the stuff I need. I've been keeping up still, obviously, with the NBA for the last however many years, but finally I'm getting to actually make a podcast. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, so glad I could finally get that started. I just graduated high school about, I'd say, like a couple weeks ago, and I'll be attending the University of Alabama in the fall. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to hopefully continuing the podcast even when I'm down there. But we'll see. Hopefully this does good and we'll be able to keep making episodes and keep uploading things. So kind of a weird time, obviously, to start a podcast about the NBA right now. But it's also kind of a perfect time with the finals being one day away. So it's a good thing and a weird thing at the same time. Unfortunately, I wanted to start this earlier, like before the playoffs. That way, as the playoffs continued, I could do episodes, after every round, seeing how teams are doing and stuff like that. But unfortunately, that couldn't happen. But at least I got to do it before the finals started. So that's a very, very good thing. So today I'll kind of be talking about the path both teams, the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat, had to take to make it to where they are now. Both two teams that are just so well disciplined, so well head coached, and both teams made an unbelievable run to get where they are. And so starting with the Denver Nuggets, I think this team almost reminds me of like the 2021 Bucks, where this is a team that's made the playoffs in years past, but can never really get over the hump. Obviously, Denver got swept by Golden State last year. Golden State did go on to win it last year, so credit to them. But they didn't have, Jamal Murray last year. They didn't have Michael Porter Jr. last year, obviously due to injury. So finally got their core guys back together. They've kept the same roster for quite some time, and it really paid off because their chemistry and their depth is unmatched. They have guys that can come off the bench and score, play defense, create turnovers, and then their starting five is solid. They know how to play together. They're very well head coached, and obviously you can tell that's where they've been. And they got back there this year to the finals, looking for their first championship ever. Same with the Heat, and their historic playoff run. I don't think anybody could have guessed where they would be right now. Obviously, they're the second ever 8 seed to make it to the finals. First ever play-in tournament team to make it to the finals. Little weird there, though, because that only started 3 years ago because of COVID, but still making history, still an achievement. And obviously, everybody respects the Miami Heat on a different level, and especially Coach Erik Spoelstra. Can't say enough about what all Spo's done for the Heat organization. Obviously he's won many championships in the past, but, looking at his team that made it to the finals previous years to this team now, nobody could have told you that this team would have gone back, and they did. Obviously the undrafted players stories, of the likes of Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, people like that, that just are seriously such good players and fit this team so well. It's pretty remarkable, honestly. And so this is why this finals is going to be so exciting. I can't wait till they start. But looking at their paths, you look at the Denver Nuggets, the teams they had to get through, starting with the Timberwolves. A little bit of drama with the Timberwolves to start. Obviously, they had Rudy Gobert punch Kyle Anderson, creating a little bit of friction there. And then Jaden McDaniels punching a wall and fracturing his hand to where he can't play. Bad way to start off even before you get into the playoffs. So they end up, it wouldn't have mattered though. Denver's the much better team. They beat the Timberwolves in 5, move on to the second round to play the Phoenix Suns. And man, I really was looking forward to this series when it first started. Obviously star power everywhere, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, MPJ, all those players. And there's one overlying story behind this series, and it's that no one can guard Nikola Jokic, and especially DeAndre Ayton. Very disappointing to see how this series played out for Ayton. A lot of people's viewpoints about him changed dramatically. Nobody, a Phoenix fan, many Phoenix fans don't even want Ayton back next year, and I don't blame them. I don't think he should come back next year. I think it'd be in the team's best interest and in DeAndre Ayton's best interest if they parted ways. Looking like they're going to do that anyways, though, so that's a good thing for the Suns. But problem with Phoenix was, they had two stars, obviously Booker and Durant, and they had to rely on them to go for 35-plus each night for them to even stay in the game. And that's not going to win you ball games at all. It's sad because, so many people had high hopes for this team. So many people wanted Chris Paul to get his first ever ring, and of course he does what he always does and gets injured in the playoffs yet again. He just genuinely cannot stay healthy in the playoffs, and he's only getting older. So CP0 is looking like a real thing, and it's so sad because I do like Chris Paul a lot, but it's just, I don't know, it's tough, man. He seems to always get hurt in the playoffs. He seems to have unlucky things happen to him in the playoffs. So there's that. But that being said, DeAndre Ayton got bullied for 5 games in a row against Nikola Jokic. He was able to control the game, take him one-on-one, shoot over him, isolate if they were sending a double team. He was able to find the pass that the double came from. It was just, he played unbelievable that series. Ended up dropping like a career-high 53 in one game, and I think that was when they lost. But Jokic played incredible, showing he is the best player in basketball right now. I don't think anybody can argue with that. He is... a lot of people said he should have won MVP. This would have been his 3rd straight. I think people got to remember, though, it's a regular season award, obviously. My vote was for Joel Embiid. I believe Joel Embiid deserved to win MVP, but, a lot of people disagree with that. A lot of people said, look at where Joel Embiid is now versus where Jokic is now. Obviously, Embiid had an unbelievable regular season. In the playoffs, second round against the Celtics, he fell short in a Game 7, where he did not perform good at all. And I think a lot of people looked at that and was like, man, this guy shouldn't have won MVP. It should have been Jokic. But got to remember, it's a regular season award. And Embiid had a phenomenal regular season, so I believe he deserved it. But no doubt in my mind that Jokic is the best basketball player in the world right now. Playing like it. And he's just controlling the game like we've never seen before. And, from a guy that he's not the most athletic guy in the world. He's not, the fastest, the quickest guy in the world. But the way he can control the game, it's almost like how, he's able to slow the game down, similar to like Luka Doncic, how he's able to play at his own pace, not let, anybody change how he plays. He plays how he wants to. And it works. It works. And he has the best supporting cast of any in the NBA. Obviously, Jamal Murray is going crazy, especially against the Lakers in the conference finals, dropping 30, 40, just, doing Jamal Murray things. And I'm so glad to see Jamal Murray back. It's been a long time, that injury he had in 2021. Not, a lot of people thought maybe he's not going to be the same. And that's sad, because, you never know how a guy's going to be coming off of injury. Same with like Klay Thompson, after he had 2 of the most devastating injuries back to back. But Jamal Murray came back and he's better than ever. There's no doubt. I mean, he is truly playing at an incredible level, and he's one of the key reasons why they're, in the finals right now. So anyways, moving on past the Suns, they ended up playing the Lakers, and it's just crazy because, I never would have thought in a million years this would have been a sweep. I originally, when this matchup had first presented itself, I thought it was a terrible matchup for the Nuggets because of one man, and that is Anthony Davis. Genuinely thought that Anthony Davis was the difference. I thought he was going to be that defensive anchor. He's obviously one of the best defenders in the league. He's a top 5, top 10 player when he's healthy. When he's healthy is key, though, because I did not even think he'd make it past this postseason, but he did, so there's that. Anyways, I thought he'd be that guy to shut down Jokic, not let Jokic control the game the way that Jokic is used to, not let him penetrate easily, not let him get off easy shots. But I was dead wrong. Jokic still did whatever he wanted to do. And I think we learned in this series that Anthony Davis is not who everybody's wanting him to be. He's still an unbelievable player. Still, like I said, top 5, top 10 when he's healthy. But people need to realize that he's not going to be what you want him to be. Obviously, I wish he would have taken that matchup with Jokic more personal. You're playing a guy who's, people are saying he's the best player in basketball. He's playing unbelievable. I would want to take on that matchup and, try to shut that down, any belief of that, and prove he's still up there as the best center in the league. But clearly he didn't do that. And that's, it's a sad thing because, we all believe he can play to that level, but, I just don't believe he does. Like I said, LeBron in that series, he did all he could. I believe his age showed a little bit, unfortunately. He did drop 40, 10, and 9 in Game 4. He played, his ass off, but there's not a lot that he could have done more. And people are saying that he's now a third option on a team, and that's simply because he's only getting older. And LeBron's coming back and saying, well, I'm still better than 90 to 95% of the league. So there's different viewpoints there. I'm not going to get into that today because I'm talking about the Nuggets and the Heat and the finals. But a lot to be said about LeBron and his future and what he's going to do. But looking at the Nuggets, they were just able to win this series by scoring the basketball. Aaron Gordon was huge in Game 4, dropped 22. Really, and this is, Aaron Gordon has been one of the best, role players, and he's not even a role player, but role players on this Nuggets team, with the likes of having to guard Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, to then guarding Kevin Durant for most of the time, then to Devin Booker, then having to guard LeBron. That's really extremely tough. And then to come out, be able to score the ball a little bit too, be a very good two-way player, only helps Jokic and Jamal Murray that much more. And Jokic and Jamal Murray are very selfless players. They'll always look to pass first, especially Jokic. He's not one to, if he finished the game with 7 points and 18 assists and they won, he'd be perfectly fine with that. That's how Jokic is. That's why he has so many triple doubles. But then again, like I said before, I believe the Nuggets were the most complete team, either them or the Bucks. For being the most complete team in these playoffs, and it shows because usually teams like this with chemistry, with depth, with versatility, with good coaching, discipline, they make it to the finals, and the Nuggets check all those boxes. So moving on, who they're playing, the Miami Heat. Again, no one saw this run coming. Everyone now sees them in a different light than how they saw them. I mean, they were literally a game away from their season being over. If they lose to the Bulls, they go home, and then the Bulls get that 8th seed to play the Bucks. But they don't. They end up winning, and then a switch got flipped. Man, it was just absolutely crazy what this team was able to do without one of their best scorers, probably their best scorer, honestly, arguably. I don't know what y'all might think about that, but Tyler Herro broke his hand in Game 1 of the Milwaukee series, doing something really stupid. He did not have to dive for that ball. I think a ball was rolling out, and Grayson Allen grabbed it, and Tyler Herro dove for it for some reason. I don't know why. Broke his hand, and he was out the entire Bucks series, the entire Knicks series, and the entire Celtics series. So why you do that and put your team at risk? You really didn't need to do that, but he did it. But everybody, said, oh, well, Tyler Herro's done. The only way he'd come back is if the Heat made the finals, and the Heat aren't going to make the finals. Well, he's actually might be playing Game 2. We really don't know about that for sure. They said they're going to try him out in Game 2, and then Game 3 for sure. If he doesn't play in Game 2, he will play in Game 3. And that's huge. This changes so many things for the Heat. This gives them a guy, he's a little bit of a defensive liability, but this gives them a guy that is an unbelievable scorer, can make clutch shots in crucial moments down the stretch, and just give the Heat a little bit of pressure off of Jimmy Butler's shoulders. It opens up space for people like Bam Adebayo, for people like Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, these guys who are all playing at such a high level. And that's another concern, with bringing Hero back into the mix. Is that going to disrupt the likes of Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin? And another thing about Caleb Martin, man, he played incredible, especially in those late games against the Celtics. He played absolutely incredible. So a lot of credit goes his way. Obviously, they beat the Bucks in 5. Giannis was hurt for a majority of that series, but I still believe that they just flat out outplayed the Bucks. I disagreed with a lot of things Coach Bud did, probably hence the reason he got let go. But I disagree with a lot of things he did defensively. I don't understand how you can continuously let a guy in Jimmy Butler who's scoring effortlessly. He dropped like 56 in game 3 and then 42 in game 4. I don't know how you can continuously let this guy work you one-on-one, not even send any help. I don't care if it's Jrue Holiday on him. Jrue Holiday is one of the best defenders in the league, but you still should be sending help and make someone else beat you. But they didn't, and they end up losing in 5 games. Coach Bud's out of there, and then they hired Adrian Smith, I believe, as their new head coach. So interesting to see what he's going to do out in Milwaukee. Hope nothing but the best for him, but we'll see as they move on into the offseason. Now they got the Knicks, and this Knicks team, really interesting. Obviously they got Jalen Brunson last year, and they were like, this is the guy that's going to take us to the promised land. And for the most part, he did. I mean, he played unbelievable. Unfortunately, he did not have much help. Julius Randle crumbled in the playoffs yet again. A lot of people are tired of Julius Randle, saying he does this every year. But, it's sad because the Knicks, I think a lot of people, and even when they beat the Cavs in 5 games, and I'm honestly very disappointed in the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell, I had the Cavs beating the Knicks. Donovan Mitchell disappointed me, big letdown in this series. He wasn't strong. The 2 Cavs big men got dominated the whole game. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen played so bad. Even I think it was either Evan Mobley or Jared Allen that said sometimes the lights are just too bright. I don't know how you can be saying that if you're in the playoffs. Like, that's just not something you can just say. But yeah. So, anyways, they beat the Knicks, and then they move on to play the Boston Celtics after a crazy 7-game series they had with the 76ers. And by this point, it gets to Heat Celtics. Everybody's like, where did this Heat team come from? Jimmy Butler is playing out of his mind, willing his team to victories. And it's, but the thing is, a lot of people got to remember, it's not just Jimmy Butler. There's guys like Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent. This team is just clicking. And, obviously they're a defense first team. They let their defense, and they have been all year, they let their defense control their offense. They play extremely good defense. They get good shots. They hit open shots. And teams like that usually make a run. And, but nobody expected this because they were terrible in the regular season. They had they were like 30th in defensive rating. Their offense was pretty shaky at times. Jimmy Butler wasn't as consistent, but crazy what happens in playoffs. Crazy how people's mind, flips. It's a different, game when, from regular season to playoffs. It's just different, for sure. But going on to this Heat Celtics series, very interesting series, to say the least, sorry. The Miami Heat, they come out, take both games in Boston, and I remember watching and just being like, wow, I cannot believe this is happening right now. I never thought, I was like, the Heat may get one of the games in Boston. They may steal one, but, Joe Mazzulla, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they're not going to let them lose both at home. They lose both at home. And so the Heat go into game 3. Boston has to win to make it a series. Heat demolished the Celtics, and it goes to 3-0. Everybody's talking about, oh my God, it's about to be a Nuggets Heat finals. This is crazy. I can't believe this is happening, all this stuff. But then Boston comes out, game 4, takes the road win to avoid the sweep, makes it 3-1. Now everybody's thinking, okay, because obviously it's history being made if they come back from 3-0. No team has ever done it. Only 3 or 4 teams have ever come back from 3-0 to make it 3-3 to a game 7. But no team has ever done it. No team has ever done it. Everybody's like, okay, Boston gets game 5. Gabe Vincent's out game 5. Huge injury, by the way, for the Heat. You know, you already have Tyler Hero down. You already have Victor Oladipo down. You don't want Gabe Vincent going down. He goes down. He's out game 5. Everybody's giving the Celtics game 5. They come out and win game 5. And then everybody's like, wow, all the pressure's on the Heat. And it was. So much pressure's on the Heat to win this game 6. Then they come out. Did not play good. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo went like 7 for 35. They played so bad. Caleb Martin played incredible. Gabe Vincent played. He didn't play that good either. It was really just Caleb Martin. Duncan Robinson played pretty solid. Max Strus played okay. But that was just, a time where you have to take care of that because you do not want to go back to Boston for a game 7 after you have lost 3 straight. You do not want to do that. But Jimmy Butler hits 3 clutch free throws to go up by 1, and then they inbound the ball to the guy you want to have the ball in your hands. Marcus Smart. You don't want Tatum shooting. You don't want Jaylen Brown shooting. You want that ball to be in Marcus Smart's hands right there. It was. He goes up from a crazy angle, and he about makes it, but it rattles around the rim and falls perfectly to Derek White, sneaking back door, and he lays it up. And it's just like, so I remember it was so hard to watch because seeing the Heat reaction to that, and knowing how close they were, this close to going to the NBA Finals, and now they have to pack all their stuff up and go to Boston for a rough game 7. That Boston crowd is very hostile, and, I know the Heat know that, but very, very, very tough place to play a Game 7 is Boston. But Eric Spoelstra said in an interview, he said, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to go down there, we're going to win the game. Jimmy Butler said the same thing. At this point, though, everybody's like, well, Jimmy Butler, you said that for 4 games straight. How do you know if you're being serious? But they come out and played an unbelievable Game 7. Boston looked atrocious. Boston looked like the same Boston team that played in the first 3 games of the series. It's too inconsistent. There's something wrong with this Boston team. They're not meshing well together. It actually just came out, though, that Joe Mazzulla is going to continue as their head coach. Jaylen Brown said he is a big part of their culture. And I do believe he is a good coach. I genuinely do believe he's a good coach, but there's just a lot of things that he did wrong. Not using all of his timeouts were a big one. Stuff that I think he could have fixed to maybe change the series, but no discredit to the Heat. I mean, the Heat obviously deserved it. They played harder, they played faster, they played more physical, they played better defense, they were less lazy. Celtics were awful Game 7. Jaylen Brown, how do you have 8 turnovers? How do you have 8 turnovers in a Game 7? I mean, that's just, and you shoot 8 for 24 or at 23. I mean, you just can't do that. That's what's going to lose you games. Tatum obviously getting hurt on the first play of the game. That's just so unfortunate. You don't want to see that. You hate to see that, but unfortunately it's a part of basketball. Tatum goes down. He still played the whole game, but a guy like Tatum goes down, you need a guy to come back and like Jaylen Brown and say, I got your back. I'll be here. We can run the offense through me. Marcus Smart, guys like that, guys like Al Horford, guys like role players come in and be like, I got to step up. Our main man's down. They didn't. They scored 84 points. They scored 84 points in a Game 7, and you can't do that. You physically can't do that. And so congrats to the Miami Heat. They made it through all the odds. They beat the 2 teams with the best record in the NBA, the Bucks and the Celtics, and they end up taking the Eastern Conference title. And then now being the Heat and the Nuggets in the finals. And man, I cannot wait for these finals. It's gonna be pretty crazy, to say the least. A lot of things, a lot of factors in this. Obviously, I'm not going to say my prediction yet. I'll say that at the very end, but a lot of factors that go into this. One being for sure, how are the Miami Heat going to defend Denver? Obviously, Denver's been one of the best offensive teams in the league this season. You know, the way they cut, the way they move to the basket, the way Jokic is able to just control everything from that elbow position, see everything. How are the Heat going to defend him? Are they going to go zone? Are they going to go drop coverage against Jamal Murray? Personally, I think drop coverage is stupid. The Celtics do it a lot. They did it last year in the finals against Steph Curry, and Steph Curry was finals MVP. He kept scoring on them. They never changed. Never got that. Never understood that. But I don't think they're going to be able to run drop coverage against Jamal Murray. The way he's been playing, he can pull up from anywhere and make it. But I don't know. The Heat zone defense is pretty interesting. They move. They're always pressuring the ball. They move. They play like dogs. But at the same time, the Nuggets are incredibly gifted offensive team with weapons everywhere. KCP, is playing good. And I'm just like he's creating his own shot. He's getting good looks. If KCP can create offense and get good looks, the Heat are in for a long series. They need to shut off guys like Aaron Gordon. They need to force someone besides Jokic to beat them. And Jamal Murray. It's going to be tough because you have guys like Michael Porter Jr., but there's times where Michael Porter Jr. doesn't show up. There's times where he plays a lot less than the potential he has to play. So that's going to be interesting. Another strong question going into this series is, are the Heat too small? Obviously, the Heat have no size. Bam Adebayo is, I think, 6'9", and he runs their center, and he's one of their biggest guys that comes in, that plays. So it's tough because, Jokic is obviously a 7-footer who is very physical. And Bam Adebayo is an unbelievable defender. He's top 5 defender in the league. He's been up there on all defensive teams year after year. The question is, how is he gonna take on this matchup of defending Jokic? There's a lot that concerned me about Bam Adebayo in Game 7 of the Celtics series. He had a lot of chances where he had people like Jaylen Brown and Derek White on him, and he'd settle for fadeaways instead of, taking them to the paint and doing what a big man should do. So there's a lot of concern there about how he's going to play and how they're going to play defense. I think that's going to be the biggest ultimate factor is how the Nuggets on offense are going to look against the Heat on defense. And then, who's going to be that player outside of Murray and Jokic on the Nuggets that's going to show up? Who's going to be that guy? Same with the Heat. Who's going to be that guy outside of Butler and Adebayo to show up and be that difference maker? But a lot of people, really want to know how the Heat are going to defend these Nuggets. And it's tough. It's a tough topic. I guess we'll see how Game 1. I love Game 1s because they show a lot of, about each other's tendencies and how the series is going to go. Obviously, a lot has changed after Game 1. A lot of teams go into Game 1. Obviously, you watch film, but a lot of teams go into Game 1. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see these finals because, the Heat have gained a whole nother level of respect. I'm pretty sure the Nuggets just came out and said this is our toughest. It's going to be one of our toughest things we've ever done as a franchise. And they're an 8 seed. This is an 8 seed Miami Heat. And, they have, I know the Nuggets have respect for them. I know the Heat have respect for the Nuggets. A lot of people have, tried to bring their little fight where Jokic kind of elbowed the back of Markieff Morris a couple years back. Try to bring that into this little mix to create another narrative. But, look, I don't think that has anything to do with anything. I think that was a long time ago. I think they're only just trying to add a little bit more of excitement to these finals. But I'm here for it, and I can't wait for these finals to start. Game 1 is very soon. I'll probably make another episode after Game 2 when the series switches back to Game 3. Obviously, we'll see how the health of Tyler Hero depends. If he plays Game 2, if he plays Game 3. We'll get to see how Adebayo takes on the matchup of guarding Jokic, how the Heat may like switch matchups. Are they going to switch off the pick and roll? How's their help side going to be? It's a lot to see. Obviously, everybody knows Bam Adebayo is undersized, but he's still one hell of a defender. But the problem is Denver. Another factor. Forgot to mention this. Denver loves to push the ball in transition, and the Heat tend to struggle. Their transition defense is not good. But are they going to be able to, push the ball in transition? If they do, I think this could be a long series for the Nuggets. I'll go ahead and say my prediction for these finals, and it's going to sound very unfair to a team who just beat the best two teams in the league. But I'm going to say Nuggets in 5 or 6. Nuggets in 5 or 6. I guess I gotta narrow it down to 1. I'd like to see them do it on their home court. I feel like though, if there is a chance that this goes 6 and the Heat, like if it goes to a game 7, 100%, I think the Miami Heat can win. Because I feel like the Nuggets are gonna fold and the Heat are gonna. But I'm going to go Nuggets in 5. That is my prediction. Before these finals start, I want to go ahead and get my prediction out there. I'm going Nuggets in 5. I think they take care of both at home. And then I think Miami gets game 3, game 4, crazy crushing loss for the Heat. Nuggets come in and steal a game. Then they take care of business in game 5 and they win their first ever championship in franchise history. So I could be wrong completely on that, but I guess we'll just see. A lot of questions going into this series, though, and a lot that, I can't wait to see game 1, to see how these teams match up, who's going to be that guy for the Heat and the Nuggets besides the stars, who's going to show up, how are the role players going to play, and, which team comes out and which team obviously shows they want it. Obviously, the Heat aren't going to back down. They've been less favored in every single series they've played. Obviously, I think at the start, the Celtics was like a 97% chance to win the series, and the Heat were like a 3. Obviously, that didn't let them stop them. I think in this series, the Nuggets are favored 89%, and the Heat are 11%. So that's, again, disrespectful, but I don't think the Heat care. I think Spoelstra is going to put them in their right spots. Jimmy Butler is going to make sure his team always competes, and it's going to be a great ride. I can't wait to see how this goes. I'll be back for episode 2 of this podcast after game 2. We'll recap what we saw from games 1 and 2, and then we'll go from there. But I just want to thank you guys for watching this, and hopefully y'all enjoyed this podcast. I'm going to try to post twice a week from here for the rest of, however long I make this podcast. But I'm glad. I just want to get my name out there. Been wanting to do this for a long time, so finally glad I got to have an opportunity to do it. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all after game 2.